You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Ready to stand out, Army ROTC prepares you not only as a college student, but as a strong leader, allowing you to earn the rank of second lieutenant. You will be eligible for full tuition merit-based scholarships and develop leadership skills essential for your future. Start strong and enhance your college experience. Visit your campus Army ROTC representative today. To find out how you can earn up to a full tuition scholarship, visit goarmy.com/podcast to locate your closest ROTC program today. Army officers inspire, strengthen others. Paid for by the United States Army.
At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I only have a certain budget.
No problem. Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, get 20% off LASIK when treated in April. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing options. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your journey towards 20/20 vision. Must mention this promotion and be treated in April of 2024 to qualify. 20% off standard price of wave light procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to GetLVILASIK.com for details. At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I'm so busy right now.
We offer a mix of convenient days and times, including 30-minute virtual appointments to fit your schedule.
I would love it, but I have astigmatism.
We treat thousands of patients with astigmatism every month with great outcomes. The LASIK Vision Institute is making your journey towards 20/20 vision all about you. So visit GetLVILASIK.com today to start your LASIK journey.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I don't think... Oh, maybe it is. Nope, that's not it. What is this?
Nope.
Is this it?
That's not they're coming to take me away.
Well, that's what it said it was. Anyway, we're live, folks. We're arguing about what we were going to play, and I thought I found it, but I think this is it, though. Here we go.
There it is.
Apparently it's a newer version of it, though, which I'm not a fan of. I should have found the old one.
I got on my knees and begged you not to leave because I go berserk. You left me anyhow, and then the days got worse and worse, and now you see I've gone completely out of my mind. And they're coming to take me away, haha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho hee hee haha. To the funny farm where life is beautiful.
I should have specifically searched for, I believe the original was the AC/DC version. But anyway, we are here, we are live, and it's Rick and Andrew, live from your mom's basement. I hope it's clean. Just saying. Anyway.
Well, Orly's been in Twitmo, so we've had a chance to clean it up.
This is true. This is true. Anyway, how you doing, man? Thanks for deciding to hang out with me and fill in for the blank hour that kind of presented itself due to some schedule changes, and I got to thinking about it. I was like, dude, I was really hoping to have like the 365 servers up permanently and stuff by now, so I could have just put in a replay. But then, like, everything at the Robinson Roost has gone completely sideways because what was supposed to be like a 2-treatment thing, it's supposed to last about maybe 5 days total, is now turning into, oh, we're going to need to do this, we're going to need to do this, we're going to need to do this, but it's okay because you've already paid for all of it, so we're not going to charge you anything else. You better not. Otherwise, you're not going to like my first bill.
Life is good. I'm at the house. I'm getting ready to head back out again. I've been here all of a week.
Dude, I saw the pig hanging out with the grands watching Bluey. Well, yeah. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
I had to watch Bluey with them because there's one in there. There's a new Bluey out, and it'll make you cry, Papa.
Honestly, I am not a fan of most of the shows for kids today, and I watched all of them with my granddaughter because she's like, Papa, can we watch this? And I'm like, I don't really want to watch this, and then she hits me with her Sleeping Beauty eyes, and I'm like, or Snow White eyes, and I'm like, damn it. Okay, we'll watch it. And I'm not a fan. Like Peppa Pig, for a while, she absolutely loved Peppa Pig. I hate that fucking pig. That pig is a brat.
That pig should be bacon.
Exactly. But now she's really on a Bluey kick, and honestly, I wound up watching a little bit of it before she ever got onto it because I was like, I have got to find something else for her to watch besides Peppa Pig. And the thing that I really like about Bluey is it's kind of like the cartoons that we used to watch when we were kids, where it's geared to both parties watching, where there's some adult humor there and there's kid humor, and a lot of it doesn't have that anymore. And I'm like, oh, that is so awesome. And
there's a lot of adult. There's some fun as you watch it. It's hilarious. There's some funny things goes on in there.
But yeah, no, I mean it's really kind of a cute little funny show, and it reminds me of some of the stuff that we used to watch. Well, I say we, but we're not that far apart in age, so I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, I don't know. We're talking at least a decade.
What's a decade among friends, my dude? Just saying.
But other than that, no, things are good. I got a long drive starting tomorrow. I'm driving over to Maryland for a job. I tried to convince them to keep me over there in Virginia when I was there, and they were like, nope, we don't have enough before you go home. And I'm like, you do realize you're going to have to pay me by the end of all this 5,000 miles worth of per diem. So I may have $1 or $2 coming to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I get to drive 600 miles, 1,700 miles, do a 2-day job, and drive 1,700 miles back.
Wow.
And there's just no way I'm going to fly.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Especially right now.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about it is, I used to fly all the time when I was a kid. Flying never really bothered me. But then, like, when I was doing conventions and stuff, the thing that always kind of just got me to the point where I started getting super frustrated was all the TSA stuff that you have to deal with. And I'm like, this is just stupid. And now it's even worse, because now if you're, like, coming into the country illegally, they just don't care. And I'm like, isn't this half the reason we're supposed to have this stuff? I'm just saying. But, yeah, but in between DEI and union issues and everything else, you couldn't pay me to fly right now.
Well, it's not flying used to be an event, right? You used to dress up for flying. Are you gone? Did I drop?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, it just got quiet. But it used to dress up. I mean, men folk would wear dress shirts, sport jackets, suits, and it was an event. We were all dressed up nice, and you get to pick. Are you sitting in the smoking section or the non-smoking section of the airplane? And it didn't matter if you were flying cattle car or first class. You got free alcohol. I'm telling you, it went downhill when they took out smoking in airplanes.
I said you couldn't pay me to fly. I didn't say drive. Getting harassed in the chat, I swear. Anyway.
It's somebody who doesn't even know who Rod Serling is, so.
Culture references over the head.
Well, it doesn't take much to go over her head.
You're going to get me in trouble. I can already feel it. You're going to get me in trouble.
It's just me. I am a troublemaker.
Just Andrew being Andrew. All right, so anything in the news you want to talk about tonight? Anything at all you want to talk about tonight?
Well, Aggie posted something on Zitter, and it's hilarious. You talked about the worms on, right? Robert Kennedy having a worm.
Yeah.
Well, he posted on Zitter, I'd offer to eat 5 more brain worms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate. I feel confident of the result, even with a 6-worm handicap.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say much about this because this parody has gotten me too, but the fact that he's just announced today that he had a brain worm and that he's willing to eat 5 more and still debate them, and Elon's parody account said, let's do this, and he started responding, I'm like, you're not helping your case, my dude.
I know, but it's hilarious.
I'm like, first of all, I feel like I'm like in some weird mashup between like The Wrath of Khan and Stargate, because I didn't know there were brain worms.
Well, you know what I think, right? Body snatchers.
Yeah, I mean, well, just as plausible at this point.
Right, the old body snatchers. I'm gonna start looking for pea pies.
Oh, The only version of that movie that I really remember, because I never really got into the black. I know it was originally like a black and white movie. I never really got into that one, but the one with Kiefer Sutherland's dad, that one scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
That's understandable. See, I got to see all the old black and white ones because we had growing up. There was on our UHF channel 44. We had what was called Creature Feature. And they had the host was out of St. Pete in Florida, and the host, Dr. Paul Barra, and he was all cut up, looked like a bad Frankenstein monster, but he showed all the creature features, basically the old Godzilla movies, Rodan, Frankenstein. It was just all Zelda. Not only was this before your time, this was before TV, okay? But yeah, it was just, that's how you saw horror movies. That was something I did with my granny. Saturdays, we'd both sit down and watch horror movies and find them great.
Yeah, my first stepdad was older than my actual dad, and I remember being like completely shocked one day because we went to go pay for movie tickets, and at that time I think it was like maybe $3.25 to go to the movies. He's like, I remember I used to be able to pay 25 cents, stay all day, and get popcorn and a drink too. I was like, dang, how old are you again?
See, I remember the McDonald's commercials. You get a hamburger, a small fry, a small Coke, and get change back from $1.
Yeah, that's back when money was worth something, though. They kind of screwed that up when they detached us from the gold standard, but they did that on purpose.
Oh yeah,
kind of like everything else they've done. But yeah, no, the whole brainworm thing really kind of trips me up. I'm just like, because the thing about it is, at one point they were kind of projecting that he was still going to wind up pulling more from Biden than he was from Trump, and I don't really see that happening now. I would like to say that it still might, but I don't really see that happening now. I have a feeling at some point this campaign is just going to like fizzle out and go away. Especially when he leans in and says, I'm going to eat 5 more and I'll still take on you fuckers and win. I'm like, dude, I get it. It's social media. You're trying to... somebody's probably running the account for him, I would assume, or somebody thought this was a great idea, some sort of macho thing or something. But I'm just like, this bad idea. Bad idea.
Well, you know it's a bad idea if he pits Christie as his running mate.
I would be worried if I had Chris Christie as my running mate. If we were ever on the tarmac too long, I'm afraid he would eat me.
I'm not talking Chris Christie.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Chris. Okay, sorry. Well, you said Christie, so I was thinking last name.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be interesting. Wonder if she would put him down like a dog. Oh wait.
That would be cool. Live TV.
I had to. He has brainworms.
See, I got to agree with Ori, and we've talked about this before on this show years now. It should be Thunderdome. I think politicians should be picked by Thunderdome.
Yeah, I actually used to kind of look at him in a little bit sideways when he first mentioned that. I'm on board now.
I'm just, just think about it. 2016, we had how many? 32 Republicans running for president?
Yeah, and then I think, it started like 32, and then it went down to 16, I think, because I remember it was so many that we had like the family table and the kids table for debates, and everybody was like, oh my God, this has never happened before. Yeah, I was thinking, especially if you get up to that number, just, Royal Rumble style, pull a lottery, 2 men enter, one man leaves until you get down to the last 2, and then they battle it out, and they're the nominee.
It would work.
It's kind of how things used to be.
Oh yeah,
you used to have to. You used to have to prove that you were strong to be able to lead, not this whole we're gonna wheel you around and give you special shoes and give you the short stairs. And this is coming from somebody with ambulatory issues, by the way. I can still walk better than that man.
I want our politics to go back 150 years, 200 years, to where there be dueling. You called me what? I'm meeting you outside, buddy.
The caning on the well of the Senate. This needs to be a thing again. I'm just saying.
I mean, let's make dueling great again. That might be my campaign. I think I'll run for president. Make dueling great again.
Try to get Danny as your running mate again. Jacker from Eric.
I'm also thinking campaign, another slogan could be a trebuchet in every yard. So, how about this hunger strike?
Dude, I can't decide if I want, like Stacy was talking about earlier, like if I want the counter protesters to like bring in some like really good food and just form a circle and eat around them and just make them watch, or if somebody should, DoorDash a bunch of food and be like, "Oh, just kidding."
My whole thing of the matter is, you could DoorDash them, or you get a couple cooks, like, and set up a barbecue contest. American Pitmasters could be out there, and they can have a big old smoking contest going on.
I just want to know when the hell our colleges became breeding grounds for terrorists, because I kind of thought that's what we were trying to get away from, when we passed all these laws that were supposed to protect us from terrorists. I'm so confused.
Well, it's not really terrorism when they do it.
Oh, it's only terrorism when you want to keep your guns, keep your Bible, and be left the fuck alone. Then it's terrorism.
Yeah.
But, God forbid, uprisings all over the country and taking over parts of colleges.
And let's not forget misgender or misused pronouns.
Oh, yeah. That's always fun.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. But I will tell you, though, it's been an interesting week. Orty came back, had a punching chew toy last night that he was playing with.
Yeah, you brought that chew toy into my field of vision, so I kicked him twice today, too. So.
Did you see what Larry Correa did with it?
Oh, yeah, that's actually how I found him.
That man, that chew toy thought he was going to get it. You thought he was winning.
Well, so let me just say this, and this is the same thing I said to him the first time, and then he tried to move the goalpost. I was like, all the things that you are claiming to have publicly, the people that actually have them never claim to have publicly. And then he's like,
he has made he is a potential entry in this month's poll.
I saw that too.
I got him listed as he's in there as the 138 IQ dumb fuck.
Oh.
I'm not sure he'll stay, but he's in there because he got Fat Boy Spring and Naomi murdered her. Let me see, when did I write that down? Her career. And I think Robert's going to make it too.
Yeah, he might with his old brand. Well, yeah, he may make it for more than one thing. We may have to figure out how he fits onto the poll, so to speak.
Well, I'm putting him on here tentatively right now. Brainworms.
Yeah. Even if it was true, why would you go public with that?
Yeah, I don't know, but when I was on Instagram, and I read that story, and then I go to Instagram, and there are reels showing up where there's people getting worms removed from their ears. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh.
I gotta complain to Phil Collins about this because it's something I don't need in my algorithms.
Well, all I'm saying is this puts a whole new meaning to the word earworms.
Yeah.
Just saying. All of a sudden, there's a whole new connotation there that I'm not that pleased with. I'm just saying.
But yeah, that's I think it's getting interesting, especially since now it doesn't appear Trump's going to go to jail.
Oh, dude, these things are so nuts. I really don't even know what's going on with half of this stuff, because like today, the Judge Merchan actually tried to basically put a gag on a defense witness who used to work for the very group that they are claiming that Trump violated policies for, to basically explain to the jury how those policies work. So dude has germane testimony to the case and is being basically told that he cannot discuss any of that. And in between what's going on with the Fani Willis case, because the wheels honestly came off of that one over a month ago, and everybody was like, oh no, it'll be all right. They'll make him or her go away, and then they'll keep going. And I'm like, as soon as Georgia's Senate started poking around, I was like, yeah, it won't be too long until they figure out what they're going to do with this, and nobody's going to like it when it's done. So then you've got the whole Stormy Daniels thing, where Trump's team objected to her being able to testify at all, and the judge says, well, I feel like this information is germane. First of all, what positions they did or did not use while having their little fornication, allegedly, is nobody's business and shouldn't have been discussed in an open courtroom. But two, for the judge to say, well, I went ahead and allowed it because I expected you to object more. This just proves that this judge was trying to put them into a corner that they weren't going to be able to get out of, because, and this is coming from somebody who's a layman but does understand a lot to do with the law. If they had objected every time she said something that wasn't germane to the case, with as many times as she did that, all that would have been doing was cementing the fact to the jury that they are trying to make them not be able to hear whatever it is that she said. It wouldn't have mattered what it was anymore. It would have basically put it in their head that there are things that these defense lawyers don't want me to know, so obviously she's right. And even before I heard anybody else say that was one of the first things that I thought of. And then I turned on the news the other day, and all the legal experts were like, well, if they do what they really should do and just line item object every time she opens her mouth, all they're going to do is cement everything for the jury. So for the judge to say, oh, you guys can disregard all this now, that doesn't work. It doesn't matter what the legal precedent is. It doesn't matter that technically the judge said, hey, this isn't anything that you can consider, because they still got to hear all of it. So either way, the defense lost a step, but it also has set it up immediately for appeal. The problem is another case with very similar circumstances that everybody knows about, the Harvey Weinstein case, that just got tossed on its appeal because of similar circumstances, where there were prior bad acts that had nothing to do with the actual charges that were allowed to be used to sway a jury, and an appeals court said, no, you can't do that, so now he's out. Now, of course, he has other charges elsewhere, so who knows what's going to happen with those, but it took 3 years. If they get him convicted, and it takes 3 years, can you imagine what they're going to try to do with the ballots and everything between then and now?
With what's happening there, that whole Stormy Daniel thing you're not going to get it out. They could have ejected, they couldn't not eject, and they're screwed now as it is unless they can get it mistrialed.
Well, I mean, the whole thing with this is this is the part that I can't seem to understand from a logical standpoint with someone who at least has a minor understanding of how the law is supposed to work. You have a district attorney who basically went around statute of limitations, bootstrapped a bunch of things that were misdemeanors into a whole bunch of felonies, and is now using someone who has been called by another court a serial perjurer as a witness, as well as a porn star who allegedly had an affair with a businessman in 2006, but lost her case about it and still owes him money.
And it's also a case that was declined to be persecuted several years ago, and he refused.
Well, yeah, that's the other part of it. So his supervisor initially refused it. So then they tried to kick it over to the feds. The feds said no. Campaign finance folks said no, there's nothing here. So then Bragg tried to take a look, even though his boss originally said no, because at that point he was starting to take things over. So he looked originally, and even he said no. And then somebody put out a book trash-talking Bragg, and all of a sudden he figured out a way to get it done. The other thing about this judge is his whole family is in hock to the Bidens. Dude is donating to Biden's campaign. His daughter is making money off of the Biden campaign, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's a judge. He should be able to separate himself and still, do his job." Are you kidding me right now?
Well, it was all well and good. Remember, think about it. The judge down there in Mar-a-Lago, right, with the documents, right? They all liked him until he's like, "No, we're going to delay this for a little bit because there's some shady crap going on." And now he's Trump appointed, and he should be. It's like, really? You guys have no problem with these judges when it's all in your favor.
And then the second it's not, the fix is in. But I mean that's something else. Now there's like allegations that some of the crime scene photos and stuff from Mar-a-Lago have actually been doctored. And
yeah, I think I read it, and I can't find it again, but I thought I read it where some of the documents, the top secret, the confidential, the ones that they're hammering on, were put in there after they got the documents.
Yeah. Not only that, but some of them actually have their top secret clearances and stuff that you can see in the photos. Apparently, some of those were added on by computer later.
Yeah.
So not only do you have all this going on, where it's become apparent that a sitting president is going after his top political rival for political reasons to do everything he can to keep him off the ballot, Joe Biden has also now done exactly what, to an extreme version, what Donald Trump got impeached over, because he has now halted aid to Israel after it was approved by Congress. And he's now threatening to do it again.
Unless they do what he tells them to. So I'm trying to understand, how is it a phone call that wasn't even heard by the whistleblower, impeachable offense, but what Biden's done is not.
Well, it's because,
granted, he won't get impeached in the Senate.
It's because it's different than when they do it. That's why. But
yeah.
But I mean, but that's the whole thing. So that is by definition a quid pro quo. I'm going to keep something from you unless you do what I want you to do, and then you get it back. That is the very definition of a quid pro quo. What Trump didn't even qualify as one, because he didn't actually even ever withhold anything. He just threatened to. Joe Biden actually did withhold funds originally as vice president from Ukraine to begin with. He said, "You're going to do this or you don't get the money. You don't have the authority to do that. We'll call Barack and ask him, because I guarantee you I do." And he's like, and I was there for 6 hours, and son of a bitch, before I was wheels up, guess what? The guy I wanted fired was fired, and they got their money. And he's on video bragging about it. And everybody's like, "I can't believe he's doing this." I'm like, he did it in front of us, and he told us he did it, and nobody cared.
It's just like he lied. He's a serial liar, as he's been since he first got into office.
He makes Cohen. He makes Cohen look like an altar boy.
Right.
And that's just the truth.
When they talk about politicians who lie, Joe Biden is the first picture.
It's as well it should be.
I mean, let's think about this. He's the case study from 1942. Do not lie as a politician, like Joe Biden. I mean, he's just, right? He lied about the trucker. Ruined that man's life. That killed his first wife, which I really have questions about that, too.
Well, I mean, how many times has the guy lied? I mean, over and over and over again. I mean, not only is it pretty much any time he's giving a political speech anymore, he lies at least once, and you know it because there's always these little catchphrases like, "No, I mean it now," or "I'm serious," or whatever other one that he uses. And now the guy's gotten so bad that a guy who's been in politics for as long or longer than I've been alive at this point doesn't even remember how to read a teleprompter, because a lot of people don't. I've heard people make excuses for him. Well, he's just reading the screen. No, you don't understand. They put markings around the stuff that you're supposed to not say out loud. So it's obvious that you're not supposed to read it. Some of it, if it's like crowd reaction and stuff, they usually put like asterisks around it. If it's like stage directions, they'll put brackets around it. There's all kinds of ways they make you understand. This is what you say. This is what you don't. And he keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, he literally read some guy's, first name and then said last name, and then tried to play it off like it was his actual last name, when what it really was is he couldn't remember the guy's last name, or he never told them what it was, so they just put last name in as a placeholder, waiting for them to be able to get it from him, and that's how it came across the teleprompter, so that's how he read it.
Well, it reminds me of Free Guy, right?
I remember that movie.
Catchphrase!
I actually did not think I was going to like that movie, and I wound up liking it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, it was a good movie. But, I mean, you think about it, that's what it is, right? Third phrase here.
I think my favorite one, because it made the rounds for like 10 days when it happened, was 4 more years, pause.
Yep.
I mean, everybody was doing it. Like, all the talk shows, like, anytime they said 4 more years, it was pause. And I was like, oh, my God, everybody's doing it. But
the big thing about it is, it's not like he's new at reading teleprompters.
That's the scary part. This is something that he's done for a long time.
I mean, this is stuff that is all like, well, he's just stuttering. No, the man has experience reading teleprompters. And it's sad is from 2020 to now, you can see, I mean, I imagine if somebody can put a clip together, it'll show his decline over the 4 years. And he's just getting worse.
Oh, dude, you can go back and watch the videos of him talking and stuff from even right after he was in office. Because there's like video of him overturning all the immigration stuff. And you can see it, like, if you compare what he was talking like back then versus what he's talking like right now, there is no way that you can look at those two things side by side and not go, this man has a problem. But they won't talk about it. They don't want anybody to know it because that's and I still, the worse he gets, I'm honestly really starting to think that they might start trying to do something weird at their convention. That is assuming that they get to have their convention, because the Palestinian protester groups are threatening to do all kinds of crazy stuff in Chicago. And a lot of people are already pissed off in Chicago. Like, I have seen, like, people from Chicago going to city council meetings in red shirts saying, turn Chicago red and get these people out of our homes. Because they're so upset about the whole migrant situation and the illegal migrant situation that people that have never really paid attention before are paying attention. I mean, you've got the world's worst Mario, John Leguizamo, I think. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty sure I may have butchered it, but I'm pretty sure that's his name. I'm getting kind of tired. But anyway, he was actually doing an interview, and he's like, and even the dude that's like totally pissed off about the situation is like, the Democrats have taken us for granted for forever, and nobody's talking about how hard the Republicans are coming after us. They're buying ad space in our newspapers that we like to read. They're buying ad space in the Hispanic TV stations, and they're using all these catchphrases and buzzwords that people from Venezuela and Cuba and everywhere else that have dealt with communism or the backlash from communism are paying attention. And he said the Biden administration fell asleep at the switch. And he's like, I don't think they've got enough of our vote anymore. And this was the calmest of those interviews that I've seen. He actually did a bit on Comedy Central because, he's one of the ones, I guess they have like a rotating panel for The Daily Show now. He's one of the ones that does the panel over there. And he literally just like went on a tirade one day and just started beating the shit out of a pinata because he's like, I can't believe that there's so many of my fucking people voting for telling me that they're going to vote for this orange bastard. And I just don't get it, blah, blah, blah. And he just went off for like a good 10 minutes. And of course the crowd's laughing and cheering and everything else. And I was like, you kind of lost your shit there, Mario. Just saying.
Let's think about this for a minute. You get who is the party of racism with low expectations?
That would be the Democrats, sir.
I mean, and that was, think about if you or Trump or Massey, any Republican that came out and said, or DeSantis. Imagine the uproar that we would be hearing right now if DeSantis said what Hutzel said in New York. Black men don't know what a computer is.
Oh, good Lord. I was actually going to talk about that today, but I couldn't get to my notes for the last 20 minutes of the show.
Imagine, I mean, this is what? And it certainly isn't filling up the news feeds.
Well, it's because it was a Democrat that said it.
I know, and it's like, they wonder why they're losing the black vote.
I mean, the thing about it is the only vote they're really hanging on to, because if you look at the numbers, they're losing everywhere. They're losing the youth vote because they've gone even further left in the party at this point because they want communism, they want Islam, they want all this stuff. I mean, you've got women literally saying now that they like the fact that in, Islam countries, women have to wear burqas and this, that, and the other, because if you wear the wrong clothes, then everybody thinks you're a slut, and if you wear the stuff that you're comfortable with, everybody thinks that you're lazy or whatever, or vice versa. And I literally heard this from somebody. She's like, if I'm wearing that and we all look the same, then nobody's going to be yelling at us anymore. And I'm like, when did individuality become a bad thing in this country? Because that's the whole founding point of this country, coming together for the common things that we need to be able to do and being left alone for the things that we can do on our own. And we've lost that somewhere. And that's why all of these protests and everything, and I don't even really call them that anymore, these terrorist uprisings in these colleges that make January 6th look like a walk in the park, and everybody's like, it's just free expression. No, it's not. They took over common areas. They kept people from being able to go through. They were impeding public access. And the thing that pisses me off about hearing all of these talking heads, well, it's First Amendment. No, you don't have First Amendment rights in school. You don't have First Amendment rights when it's private property with public access. Because I've worn a badge that covered both sides of that spectrum. And when you are on private property with public access, they can restrict your access. That's why anytime you go into establishments, most of the time you'll see signs that say we refuse the right to we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone at any time for any reason. Because that basically says, hey, you pissed me off, get the hell out of my store. And they're legally covered because that sign is in there. The same thing with the colleges, and that's Stacy and I were talking about it earlier. These people, other than the agitators and the organizers, because we know they're not students, but there were still plenty of students there. Those students signed a code of conduct to go to that school. I guarantee you what they are doing violates that code of conduct. And you do not have free speech on private property. The First Amendment only applies to the government. That's why the government has started trying to do all these public-private partnerships. And that's why for the longest time, it wasn't the government trying to overtly restrict our speech. It was the government going to the social media companies and be like, this is really kind of misinformation and you really shouldn't let this out there. And that's why they were able to keep us under thumb with COVID for as long as they were, because a lot of people that were starting to see the truth, even medical professionals, had their complete careers destroyed because they were trying to come out and they're trying to explain to people, you don't understand. This virus has a synthetic spike protein. This cannot happen in nature. So some of it definitely came from somewhere. So even if it wasn't completely man-made, it was man-manipulated. And people started trying to say that, and suddenly their practices were gone, their licenses were gone. Now, I talked about this afternoon. One of the biggest vaccine providers in the world is taking their vaccine off the market because there's issues with it. And there's now enough evidence to support the fact that there are issues with it. And luckily for us, it was one that they decided we couldn't really use here. But there were still a total of, I believe, 3.2 billion doses worldwide.
I'm looking at that article right now because I was going to bring that up about that. And I missed that part of your show. I'm going to listen to your show all day while I'm on the road tomorrow.
But yeah, no, it's just crazy to me because Britain, because they did a lot of the same precautions that we did as far as trying to fast track the vaccines and everything else. The one thing that they don't have there is the indemnity for the vaccine companies. So there are actually people bringing class action lawsuits against this company because they can do it there. But the thing about it is the bean counters got a hold of the number. And they were like, well, it's like 1 out of every 100,000 people. So when you think about it, that sounds like, you know, the odds of winning the lottery. But when you talk about 3.2 billion doses and 1 out of every 100,000 has a potential to have side effects that can either damage their health permanently or lead to death, and the bean counter said, go ahead. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, you know...
And most of those, as far as I know, are still under emergency use authorization.
Yeah. Well, the difference is, like I said, in Britain, their emergency use did not give indemnity, so they actually can do class actions. We can't here. They can there. So I hope...
And it's amazing. It's amazing. As nanny state as they are.
I know, right? That's the first thing I thought. I was like, how in the hell do they not have indemnity for these companies, but we do? But, I mean, I also firmly believe that Trump didn't really understand a lot of what was in Operation Warp Speed because he's Trump, and he was just like, oh, I'm going to do this thing, and it's going to be great, and I'm going to sign it.
He did what a CEO does.
Yeah, he delegated.
Basically even the president, I'm sorry, right? You come in, you get briefing. You're not getting 400 pages of this is what you get a synopsis as the president, right? And I understand that. Now, he may or may not have said, okay, I need a more in-depth briefing later on, or give me the papers to read so I can peruse it and have questions, but he gets the briefing, the synopsis, and says, yes, let's do that. And they went off with it. Now, Flossie is the one that should be.
Yeah, somebody should have just booted the Leprechaun of the Potomac a long ass time ago. I'm just saying, because the thing that pisses me off about him is everything that littler people in this business, like me and Stacy, have been trying to tell everybody since 2020, and some of it got picked up by bigger accounts who then tried to push it and then got in trouble, and then our reach started being limited on the morning show. Was one reason why we decided to try to rebrand, was to see if we could get some of the reach back. But everything that we said about that man was true. He pulled a lot of the COVID restrictions straight out of a very dark and smelly place, and he admitted it behind closed doors in Congress once he left his position. He's like, oh yeah, that whole social distancing thing. We were just kind of arguing amongst ourselves about the distance that we thought would work. We knew we should have some kind of a distance, but we weren't really sure. We weren't sure. Should we use 3 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot? Eventually we landed on 6 foot. Oh, and this whole mask thing, yeah, that was basically a placebo. We just wanted people to feel like they could do something, because everybody knows that a virus molecule is smaller than the holes in the mask. But we wanted them to feel like they had some sort of way to protect themselves. And these are things that he has admitted behind closed doors to Congress. And this man is still free. He should be swinging from a tree.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff that he lied about. And he's admitted to, but they're not going to do anything about it. Because I think he has a lot of dirt. And there's a lot of people that made money off of him and made money off of that pandemic that they're not going to do anything.
Oh, no, I guarantee you. I mean, that's like his whole, you can't use the $20 prescription that you can get that's been off-label used for this stuff for years and is actually very effective against a very similar type of virus, because we want to sign you up for this $4,000 treatment instead, which I, by the way, own stock in.
Well, living where I live at, when the family had COVID, not last year, but the year before, there was all of us. I went over to the farmer's animal and I bought some horse paste. And we put it in all the grandbaby's belly buttons. And it cleared up a lot quicker than it would have if we just let it run its course. Got the ivermectin for horse paste. No, I didn't eat horse paste because I'm not stupid. But we just put it in belly buttons. It worked. I lost you, didn't I?
No, I'm here. I had the volume
Okay.
down for a second because there was something going on in the other room. But no,
Okay.
and well, that's the thing, though. I mean, these are things that we have known have worked in the way that they were trying to use them for forever. But because they wanted a very specific protocol, which is very costly, which most people didn't even have to pay full price for, because the government was like, we're going to help pay for it, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So this became a way for a bunch of people to line their pockets, much like with everything else that happens in this country. That's like with this whole ban TikTok thing. When both sides agree, you really need to start looking at the fine print, because that doesn't happen anymore. And the last time both sides agreed and everybody thought it was going to be great was when Reagan signed amnesty and the Democrats promised him after he did that they were going to go in and do something about immigration. And they didn't. And that's why there started to be this big polarization that has just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse, because when people start trying to push for both sides to come together, both sides figure out a way to use that for their benefit. That's like the same thing with abortion. It's been a fundraising tool on both sides and has been for forever, which is why nobody's really ever done anything about it until now. Donald Trump helped make that happen. I don't care if the country burns at this point, as long as we can manage to save a few more lives along the way in the long run. Now, the scariest thing is, since this is the part that just astounds me, because everybody's like, oh my God, you're taking away my right to kill babies if I want to kill babies. There's been more abortions performed since Roe v. Wade was overturned than there was before Roe v. Wade was overturned, if you look at the last 3 years' worth of data.
Well, again, Roe v. Wade, way back when yeah, it should never have been a feds thing, but the Supreme Court also wrote that it was supposed to be rare. It was never supposed to be a birth control method.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. The whole wording of Roe v. Wade was that abortion was to be safe, legal, and rare. And that was because they were concerned about the number of people that were doing things with coat hangers and everything else. And I get it. And they're afraid that's what they're afraid we're going to go back to. But the thing about it is, it was never supposed to be there was an abortion clinic on every corner like a freaking 7-Eleven or an OnQ, or in Ordy's case, a Circle K. Giggity. Just saying. But that's the whole thing, is that's part of why it went away, because people have realized that it was being abused. That's why the Democrats are starting to lose their hold on the populace, because people are seeing that it's being abused. But that is also a lot of things that they've tried to do to say, we're the only ones that care about you. People are starting to pick up on this whole, soft bigotry of low expectations, and they're getting kind of tired of it. The other thing that's pushed everybody a lot further away from them is the fact that they are now seeing their replacements come in, because that's what's happening in Chicago. You have the African American voters who are pissed off because you've got a bunch of illegal people in the country that shouldn't be here coming into their cities because they agreed to be sanctuary cities, taking their houses, taking their jobs, and
taking their benefits.
Taking their benefits, and I get that. I kind of stumbled on that part, so thank you for picking that up for me. But that's the whole thing, and I've said this for forever. I understand that the programs that we have in place, like Social Security and food stamps and everything else, were supposed to be there as a last resort. That was all they were ever really intended for. It was originally, when Social Security was passed, it was originally because at that point, men were still largely outliving women, and most of the time, nobody talks about this little dirty secret either. At the time that they set the age for people to be able to receive Social Security, it was 9 out of 10 times that it was a guarantee that it was going to be going to a widowed spouse, not a living person. And it was primarily to make sure that things like they had the ability to pay for death, to pay for funeral arrangements, whatever it was. Now everybody wants to try to treat it as a retirement, which is stupid because it was never intended to be that. But they started trying to make it that way. And then the government got into everybody's pocket and said, well, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. And then people started trying to figure out a way to cut costs. So instead of offering regular retirement programs, they started offering things that are tied to the stock market, which is very, very stupid if you don't know what you're doing. It can be great if you even have a modicum of understanding how to do it, but most of us don't. So half the time you're like, well, I've put over the years in between Social Security and my 401k, I've probably given the government and the stock market somewhere between $60,000, $70,000. You know what I have to show for it? 20.
Well, My biggest thing about Social Security is it was not supposed to be a long term. It was supposed to be short term when FDR found it. And then in the 1980s and the 1990s, Congress used it as their own little spending pot.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, every time it would be like, yeah, we're going to take money out of Social Security to pay for this, and we'll just put an IOU there so future Congresses will pay it back. And it's like, yeah, so you're not going to be here, but you're saying that in the future, Congress will pay this back. This is like when Bill Clinton balanced the budget in 10 years. In 1998, he balanced the budget. And in 10 years, we were supposed to have a balanced budget. That didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. It doesn't matter which party's in charge. That's the other thing that pisses me off, though, because every single one of them, anytime, well, we're going to do this, and that means that we'll have this done within 10 years. And then nobody takes into account that there's going to be 2.5 administration changes by then in most cases. And the entire country is going to have to change direction at least 2, maybe 2.5 times, depending on what's going on. And that's the thing. They keep making all these long-term plans to try to make sure that they shore up their voter base when they know that none of the things that they're convincing people are going to happen are actually going to happen by the time they expect it. It's the same con they use with us with global warming and everything else. I mean, hell, when we were kids, like when one of the first things I remember was, and I think it was first grade. It was either kindergarten or first grade, but that was back when everybody was assuming that we were going to like eventually burn up one of these days. Or no, it was global cooling first, and by the time
we were ice aging.
Yeah, by the time I got into school, that was one of the they had this weekly reader thing, and it was like, oh my god, if we don't do something to fix this, then we're gonna have another ice age in 10 years. And then 5 years after,
the 70s were the ice age, the 80s were the ozone hole.
Yeah, and then 90s were global warming, and then 2000s has been climate change ever since because they finally just said, fuck it, we're going to make it something general, so no matter what happens, we can say, see, we told you the climate was changing. Anyway.
Hey, Zelda, at least we understand what war is. You still don't understand what perfection is.
Well, according to her, she attained it faster than all of us, which is why she stopped growing. I call BS. But...
Well, you know what perfection is, right? just means she doesn't need to get on her knees.
Okay, I can't say nothing to that. I got nothing.
So, it's the top of the hour. Is Orty going to join us?
I don't know. He said something about being pretty wiped out, and then I haven't heard from him in a minute. So I don't know. The last time he commented was over a half hour ago, and I didn't get a text or anything. So I think he might be done for the night. Let me see. Let me see if he's on. He might be on. I have it pop up over here.
He's on. He's on Zitter.
Yeah, I don't know. He said something about being super tired, so I'm trying to figure that out. Let's see. My Skype is being done.
He's here. He says he's here, barely.
Yeah.
Z, I'm not even close to being country, just so you know. Who else we got? Who else is out here? Jeff is there.
Yeah.
I like Jeff.
All right.
I just wish he would stop with the anal probe.
It's not what you said last night.
Shh. That was last night. That was sobriety talking.
Not too much blood in your alcohol stream, my friend.
Yes, sir. It happens at times.
All right, so instead of getting everything reset, because it looks like Orty's going to come hang out, I think we're just going to take a quick break, bring him in, and come right back, because I know he's tired, so I'm not going to try to keep him on for the whole hour, but I don't get you two on together very often, unless it's like toxic time, so let's have a little bit of fun. Anyway,
all right.
We're going to take a quick break, come back, and keep things going for just a little bit longer, and then I'll have some mercy on Ordy and let him call it a little bit early. But we'll be right back. So thanks for hanging out with us. Chat Lives Matter Tonight, live right here on KLRN Radio. A little bit abbreviated, but in fairness, the Robinson Roost is in shambles, so I'm glad I was at least able to get the studio put back together. It's been a really long week. We'll be right back.
It's going down like I told you. This is how it's gonna be. I'll be the last man standing here.